What is going on today, guys? My name's Alex. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are back with the 2.7 liter inline 4 turbocharged engine from GM. Last week I went into pretty good detail about the ins and outs of the engine itself. So you guys are interested about that, I'll put a link down below. But this week we are taking this truck on the road. I'm gonna see how this engine drives, and I'm gonna give you guys my real-time thoughts of what I think about this engine while I drive it. So that should be interesting. The first thing we're gonna answer is see whether or not this thing has any real power, see if it actually is quick like GM claims it is. So we're gonna take this thing on the highway, do a couple pulls. We'll just go the speed limit, of course, but we'll see if this thing actually has some speed behind it, so that should be fun. And then secondly, we'll just take it around town, see how it drives, and see how that 4-cylinder kind of works, whether or not it's a comfortable driving engine, whether or not I like it, and all that cool stuff. Lastly, guys, the big thing is the fuel economy. I'm gonna show you guys what I get with a real world fuel economy. We're gonna do some highway driving, we're gonna do some acceleration tests, and we're just gonna be driving around town, bombing around. So it should be a good real world fuel economy review. Let you guys know what you can actually expect out of this engine. So as you guys probably heard, she don't really sound that impressive, but at least there's a little bit of turbo spool in there to keep things interesting. I know that this has nothing to do with the engine or how it drives, but I really like what GM has done with the interior of these trucks. This is not really a fancy truck. It's not a complete base model, obviously, but I love this console, how it's kind of floating down here. I really like this. I like how the center gauge cluster is basically seamlessly connected to the infotainment here. I just think they did a really good job with this, and they really needed it because their truck's interiors were kind of out of date. Right off the bat, we have 40,000 kilometers on this truck. So this engine is perfectly broken in. So we should expect premium fuel economy numbers. We're starting off with 14.2 liters per 100 kilometers. I'll put all the miles per gallon down on the screen for you guys, for you Americans. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to get that down and kind of into range of what this truck should be getting, but we'll see. And we are off to the races. All right, first things first, we were just doing a little bit of drive-by, some B-roll for the video, and as you guys can see, my fuel economy's already gone up almost 2 liters per 100K, 15.4 liters per 100K. That is not the greatest. I mean, this is what this truck should be meant for, is just kind of bombing around town, stop-start traffic. This truck does have stop-start technology, meaning the engine will actually shut down when you come to a stop. So this is what this engine is meant for, city driving. We're doing that right now, and our fuel economy is climbing, 15.6 liters per 100K. That is a little disheartening, I'm not gonna lie. You'd like to see that come down a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe at the end of the video, she'll have come down. Now, in terms of comfort, I mentioned last week in my video that the engine up front here, the 2.7 liter, is almost 100 pounds lighter than the 5.3 V8. So you end up getting a little bit lighter of a front end. This is good because it kind of makes the truck feel like it's just handling a little better, and it makes the front end feel a little nimbler, and that is definitely pretty noticeable. This truck has some pretty good handling on it. In terms of acceleration, it's actually not bad. Like I mentioned last week, this engine I thought was very responsive. You know, just a little bit of throttle and you're off. Usually when you hear turbocharger, you think of lag, and this thing just really does not have any turbo lag whatsoever. It is just really, really responsive, and that's exactly what you want out of a pickup truck. You want something when it doesn't matter if you put your foot all the way down or just a little bit down, you want to have that throttle response, and this is exactly what this engine has. does not hurt that this engine also has direct injection. That's also going to really help with throttle response as well. Just the turbo whistle, it's constantly whistling. I'll shut up. Hopefully you guys heard that. There's nothing wrong with it. I kind of actually like it. Lets you know the turbo's working and spooling up. It kind of has this weird, like, I don't know, electric motor type of like sound to it. Just a little hum, little whistle, little at all times. All right, we are going to make a right-hand turn here and jump on to the highway. When I mean jump on, we are going to absolutely floor it onto this highway. This engine's nice and warm, so she should give us some good acceleration. Wait till we get around the corner here. We don't want to blow this person off the road here with our massive amounts of acceleration that's ready to come. Okay, here we go. 60 kilometers an hour. We'll keep it there. We got a straightaway to the floor. Definitely some pick up and go there. She's not that slow. She'll definitely get you up to speed, no problem about that. I mean, I'm sure you guys heard the engine, not the best sounding revving engine, but you know, some people don't care about that stuff. So I don't know, we're at 110. Let's mimic trying to pass someone here. So to the floor. Oh yeah, 150. So yeah, there's lots of power here if you need it. You know, is the 5.3 going to feel a little more punchy and torquey? Tough to tell, to be honest, because, you know, that is a naturally aspirated engine. So in theory, that should feel a little bit more torquey right away, but because this turbo setup is just very unique and it's got some really cool technology behind it that basically eliminates any turbo lag, I would almost feel like this thing would be neck and neck in terms of like torquiness feel with that 5.3. Obviously the 5.3 has more horsepower, so at the higher range of the engine, that 5.3 is definitely gonna feel like it's got more power. And it should, you know, it's a big V8. I'd be disappointed if this little 4-cylinder felt like it had more top-end power. Yeah, comparing them directly, I don't know which one would be faster. I think GM says this 4-cylinder is quicker, but again, who knows in the real world which one is actually faster. We're gonna pull back onto the highway. I don't know, let's start at 50 kilometers an hour this time. Actually, you know what? There's no one behind us. Start at 40. To the floor. Woo! I think we actually had some wheel spin there. Well, there you go. The speed's limited to the speed limit. Kilometers. No fun. This thing is quick. I mean, it's not a race car. Yes, a Corvette will absolutely blow the doors off this thing. But in terms of a 5,000-pound pickup truck, this thing's got some pep to its step. And I did hear some people complaining about lack of power. I'm not feeling it. Again, I'm not towing anything. That could be a completely different story if you try to tow something with this engine, which again, I'm really, really hoping I can do later in the spring here. I'm hoping to work a little deal out to get a trailer. Anyways, we'll see about that. Now, obviously our fuel economy has taken a hit there. You know, when you're revving at 5,000 RPM, you can't expect any good fuel economy. So we'll see where this kind of settles down. I would imagine it would probably end up near where we started, kind of like 14, 13 liters per 100K. I think that's probably a very reasonable estimate of where this truck is going to be in the real world for most people. Obviously, if you're driving pure city, it's probably gonna be a little bit worse. If you guys were doing much more city driving, I think it would be much more advantageous to have this engine versus someone like me who tends to be doing, you know, a good mix of 50-50. At that point, it would not be that advantageous to have this engine over a V8 purely in terms of fuel economy, if that makes sense. I didn't think I would like the full, like, I don't know what you call it, LED display here, or digital display, I guess is what they would call it. But I think GM's done a really good job here. This is not bad at all. Now, I did mention last week that I really enjoyed this engine as just a good driving engine. And we're going 82 kilometers an hour. We're, you know, maybe 1700 RPMs. It just really cruises really smoothly, despite an inline 4 engine, especially a bigger displacement inline 4 engine like the one in this truck, you know, naturally being fairly unbalanced. GM's done a really good job with making this engine feel really smooth. I thought it would be a little rougher. Now, when you get into some higher RPMs, you can kind of feel that roughness a little better, or that vibration. But in terms of just cruising at, you know, 1300 RPM, 1200 RPM, it is really, really smooth, really comfortable. And the beauty of having, again, that really special turbo technology in here is that, you know, when you give a little gas to it, it just get up and go, you know, instant torque right there. And in fact, GM claims that 90% of the peak torque, 430 pound-feet of it, will be delivered by 1500 RPM. So, you know, that is really, really, really low in the RPM band. Now, I have been cruising right around 80 kilometers an hour for the last, I don't know, 10 minutes, trying to bring this fuel economy number down. So I reset this fuel economy number when I first got in the truck, and I've driven just about 90 kilometers. So, you know, it's not like I've driven 10 kilometers. Like, there's 90 kilometers on this average fuel economy. And so it's a pretty good representation of, you know, what this truck is capable of. Personally, this feels quite high. I mean, that's almost 16 liters per 100 kilometers. I thought I'd be getting around 12 if I was going to be completely honest. 12 or 13, that's what I thought I would get. And I touched on this last week. My old 2017 Ram 1500 with the 5.7 Hemi, a gas guzzler, would easily, you know, get 13, 14 liters per 100 kilometers. It's tough to justify owning a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine when you get fuel economy like that. That's what I mean. I mean, like I said earlier in the video, this thing's plenty powerful, but I mean, so is a V8. And if you're gonna get the same fuel economy, more or less, as a V8, why not spend the extra 1,500 bucks? Get the V8. First of all, your resale value will cover that and more, most likely. So you're not gonna lose on it. And you're gonna get realistically, a more tried and true engine in the LS 5.3. All right, so we're almost back at the shop. We have been able to get the fuel economy down to 15 liters per 100K with me just absolutely feathering the throttle there. So, you know, it's come down a little bit. I mean, still 15 liters per 100K it's actually honestly right about 15 miles per gallon, which, I mean, if this was a big gas guzzling V8, I would not be too disappointed. I'd be like, oh, pretty decent fuel mileage. But again, this is a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. We should be seeing much better economy, unfortunately. All right, so we made it back to the shop in one piece, with the truck still in one piece. Takeaways. I think that this thing has quite good low-end torque, just like GM advertised. I think they are bang on the money there. That turbo setup, whatever wizardry they've done, it has some great down-low torque with almost zero turbo lag, which is, you know, exactly what you want in a pickup truck. So good for GM. I like that. I did hear rumblings of people saying that they didn't like or thought this thing was underpowered. I didn't feel that. I think this thing's got plenty of get up and go. I think it would probably give the V8 a run for its money. Now, like I mentioned earlier, With towing, that could be a completely different story. Again, I don't know. Obviously, I didn't tow anything, but in terms of just an empty truck, it seemed like it had plenty of power to me. Now, finally, the kicker, the fuel economy, which in my opinion is the only reason that GM really went with this engine, is just for fuel economy. It really doesn't make any other sense of going for a really small engine in a truck other than good fuel economy. And this is where I think the majority of complaints come from, because people just aren't getting the fuel economy numbers they would expect with this engine. And my real world experience is no different. I mean, we finished with 15 liters per 100 kilometers, and I think I had 92 kilometers driven since I reset it. So a good amount of driving. Obviously, we did some pulls there with some high revs, but I mean, that kind of is involved in real world driving over a 100 kilometer span, and 15 liters per 100 kilometers is just not that good for an inline 4 turbocharged engine. And I think that is the truth. But anyways, guys, I hope you liked the video. If you guys don't agree with my opinions, let me know down below. If you guys own one of these trucks, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your comments. I actually learned a lot from that. As always, if you did like the video, don't forget to leave that thumbs up. And if you like cool stuff like this, don't forget to subscribe. I'd love to have you on board. Anyways, enough of me. We'll see you in the next freaking video.